مسافين متأكدين إنه بس هي أوكي إحنا حابين نحط عليها لا تخاف يعني.
Okay, in the last lecture we continued the discussion about FIDIC contracts. Okay, so FIDIC is basically an organization which develops standardized formats of contracts. They publish guidelines, and they have different types of manuals for different types of contracts. So they have color coded them here: red, blue, green, gold, silver, whatever. Okay, we are going through these parts which are part of any FIDIC contract, which is the general conditions, the particular condition of the project, the annexures which contain the design documents, and the agreement itself between the two parties, and if you have any appendices then they should be included, which is also summarized here. Okay, so general conditions include, we will talk about it later on as well, any definitions, any items you need to define, any terms which you are using in the contract. Okay, how you will execute. Okay, so that is for the project itself, this is also for the project, this is also for the project. And then you have the contract, this one. Okay, and then the appendices, or it can be part of the contract if you have any claims or if you need any arbitration. Okay, you just see into that. Okay, so according to the FIDIC book, the general condition, this is like a detailed list of what general conditions mean. Okay, so general provisions means things which are generally applicable to everybody. Okay, like for all contracts this is applicable. Okay, so these are the general provisions. Then we have who is the employer, like it could be a person, it could be an organization, it could be a government body. Okay, so who is the employer and who is the engineer, who is the contractor. Okay, things that will be used during the contract itself. Okay, so this is like the general definition of these parties. Okay, who is who basically. Okay, if you already selected the subcontractor, then you can mention it over here in the general conditions as well. Then the project related conditions, including staff and labor. Okay, any staff which you already employed, if you have labor at hand and so on and so forth. Plants for materials. Okay, for example, you have concrete mixing plant, you have I don't know, whatever type of plant. Okay, you have concrete mixing, you have asphalt mixing plant, and so on. Okay, so big equipment basically. The commencement dates, if any delays have already happened. Okay, so we are already late in signing the contract because of any reason, so those delays are already there. What type of tests should be done on completion? Contractor says, I have finished concreting. Okay, so what tests you will do to make sure that he has actually finished it? And what else? What else we need to check? Delay. Okay, what else? Stable, like what do you mean?
The structure.
Cover and shape it a bit.
Drive through the highway and
Drive through the height.
seas.
Yeah. Any other ideas? How? How do you measure quality? Let's talk about concrete or highway. How do you measure the quality of concrete or highway? How? Tests, right? Okay. So, so for concrete, what do we need to check? Strength. Okay. And same thing for the highway as well. Check the strength. And even before you pour the concrete, that is, you have to check the workability and so on, right? Okay. The employers taking over, what will happen at the time of taking over? This is the time when the contractor will back off and the employer will take control. Anything happens after that, that is whose responsibility? Employer's responsibility. Okay. So how will this shift happen? When will this happen? any documents to be signed, any certificates to be given, any payments to be made, and so on and so forth. Defects liability, in the end, project is finished. Okay, now you find the defect. Okay, you found that this particular room is half a meter less in height. The building is ready. Okay, so whose liability is that? Who is responsible for that? Okay, could be the contractor, or could be who else? Anybody else? Who can take this liability? Why? Why? Engineer consultant, same thing. Why?
He's the one who
You check.
because he's the one who designed it. He should.
He should check. He should check, and maybe the specifications he gave, there was some mistake, some confusion there as well. Okay, so whatever. So measurements and tests to be done after the completion. Any variation and adjustments. Okay, so who will initiate the variation? How will they initiate it? Should they fill any form? Who will approve it? Okay, so it could be different levels. If the variation is only for like 1% of the price, the site engineer can approve it. If the variation is like 20%, only the client can approve it. Okay, so it can have different levels as well. Contract price and payments, obviously termination by the employer. In some conditions, the employer can terminate the contract. He said, okay, if you do this, contract is finished from my end. Okay, and if this happens, then obviously he will no longer make the full payment, right? Okay, or termination can happen from the contractor as well. He may say the client is not paying on time. I'm waiting for 6 months for the last payment. Okay, so in that case, I will no longer proceed with the contract until my payment is done. Okay, so he is not, you cannot take him to the court in both cases. If something happened which was already in the contract, and that party said that you violated this condition, I am terminating the contract because of this condition. The other party has to accept it. Okay, because it's already in the contract. Risk and responsibility, who will share the risk and responsibilities? Okay, anything unforeseen happens, anything which you do not know from the start, if it happens, whose responsibility is this? Okay, who will bear the extra cost, who will make up for the delay, and so on. Insurance, so many projects, many companies do insurance. Okay, most of the major insurance companies, they are doing insurance for big projects. Okay, so insurance is one way of managing the risk. Okay, especially for what? You do the insurance for your cars, right? That insurance covers what? Accidents, right? Damage because of accidents, right? Okay, you cannot say why it was my tire burst because I ran over a glass. Okay, so the insurance will not cover it, obviously. Okay, so insurance basically covers accidents, and for big projects, infrastructure projects, they can cover things which are out of control, like very high rain, earthquake, blah blah. Okay, things like that. Okay, then we have the force majeure, basically the termination of the project itself. Okay, the termination of the project itself. Okay, any claims, disputes, okay, if they happen, how they will be handled. Okay, now obviously we have color coding. I showed you in the previous lecture the color coding. Okay, so anybody remembers them? Red book, yellow book, silver book. What does it mean? Anybody remembers? No, right? Like what do they actually mean? Like red book means what exactly? Sure? Probably? Okay. Anybody? No one, right?
Construction.
Huh?
Construction.
there, right? You are seeing it? Yes. See? Probably. Okay. But anyways. So what was the red one? Red one is what? Design bit build. Yellow is what? Then why do you have to remember? Like, yeah, there will come a time in the quiz. Yes, you have to remember. But like, why now? You have wasted your money on these things. Just look at it.
Design and construction.
Huh?
Design and construction.
Design and construction, and the silver one is what?
Complete.
Complete what? Silver one is complete, others are incomplete. Huh?
Complete the project and ready to use.
Now she is reading her notes. The slides can go to trash can. I will open the slides and read my notes. Very good. That gives me a lot of confidence. Yes, my friend. He is not even changing the slide.
The key format is the co-responsibility design and construction.
Okay. Anyways, design bit build, design construction, and this is like turnkey or something. I don't remember myself. Turnkey, right? Okay. This graph shows you on this end you have the price. Okay. On this hand you have the involvement of the employer. At this end you have the risk for the employer and risk for the client. Oh, sorry, risk for the contractor. Okay. Design bid build, the usual one, the traditional one, happens on 90% of the projects. You go to a consultant, he will design your house. You will go to a contractor, he will build your house. And before you go for the execution, there will be a contract signing. Design, bid, build. Okay. So in this case, obviously the prices are on the lower side because we are talking about smaller projects. Okay, private projects which are done for individual clients. Okay, so the price is on the lower side. Okay, the employer involvement is higher because he is doing all the hiring, right? He is doing all the hiring, and before he goes for the hiring, he has to make all the decisions. Okay, like the consultant will give him a cost, so he has to make the decision: should I go forward, or should I negotiate, or should I change the design, whatever. Okay, the contractor will not have any say in it. So involvement is higher. When involvement is higher, general rule. When high involvement means high. Okay, clear or not? Great powers comes great responsibility, right? Okay. Next one was design build. So one contractor doing everything, basically. Okay. So in this case, obviously the employer's involvement is less. He is only involved at the initial stages. Then later on, he's just approving or reviewing or something. Okay. So in this case, the price will be higher because in the projects for which we do this, we need specialized contractors who can handle both these things. These contractors have high prices, so we will not do it for small projects. Okay. And obviously, when involvement is less, the risk is less. So risk has, now you can see here, risk shifts from here to here. It does not go away. The amount of risk is always the same. You can say the price total can go high or low, right? But the risk total remains the same. It shifts. Okay, in each type of contract. Yeah. Okay. So when you when involvement is less, risk is less. That means involvement increases on this side, and the risk also increases on this side. Okay. Same thing here. So when you are giving more job to the contractor, basically, from here to here, you are giving more job to the contractor. Okay. So here he is only doing construction. Here he is doing design and construction. Here he is doing design, construction, and operation. He will run the project as well. Okay. Okay. So this is the hierarchy of documents for FIDIC contracts. Okay, so you can see it starts with the contract agreement itself, where you sign and where you agree on what you will do, each party will do. So that's the topmost priority, right? This is why we have the contract. Okay, then we have the letter of acceptance. Okay, the employer will, or sorry, the letter of acceptance from the contractor. Okay, that he is accepting all the terms and conditions. Okay, and then we have the letter of tender. Okay, which is from the client side. Any particular conditions, general conditions, specification, drawings, you already know that. Okay, and any schedules or any other documents, these are the appendices. Okay, so but you can see the most important one is the legal part. Okay, the most important one is the legal part. Then comes the acknowledgement. Okay, this is the acknowledgement from each party that we have accepted. Okay, then comes the project part. All of it is the project part. Okay. Okay. So what is the legal standing of FIDIC? Okay. First of all, there are a lot of organizations in the world. Fortunately, unfortunately, they are not legal, they are not official, they are not government based, but they have made like a brand. Okay, so if you are good enough, you will be registered with them, something like this. Okay, I gave you the example, I don't know here or some other section, but for example, universities in GCC especially, for engineering programs, we go for an accreditation or certification for ABIT. Okay, it's an American organization, Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology. Okay, they do the certification, so you have to follow their guidelines from start to end. Okay, so you follow them, that means your program is up to a certain level. Okay, if you don't have ABIT certification, like I keep on saying, especially in GCC region, you are at the lower level. Okay, so there are universities which have the accreditation, there are universities which don't have. So have higher standing, they have more weightage, and so on. Got it? The universities which don't have, they have lower standing. Okay, clear? It changes from region to region. Okay, all the regions are not following the same brand, the same certification. Okay, you may have heard about ISO, right? ISO certification, ISO standards. Heard about them? Companies put them, we are ISO certified and this is standard and this is that. Another example, construction companies are also ISO certified. Okay, they are follow ISO 14,000, 9,000, whatnot. Okay, so what is ISO? It's an independent body. Okay, it's an independent body. They cannot come if you do not follow ISO standards. They cannot come and close your company. Okay, like a ministry in Bahrain can do that. They can say that the CR of this company is cancelled, let's say. Okay, Lambda or whoever handles it. But ISO cannot do that. Same thing with FIDIC. Okay, they will let you register. You can follow their guidelines. If you follow them, you can register with them. Okay, but if you don't follow them, officially, legally, there is no requirement. Okay, yeah, the government of that area can say we will only deal with a company which is registered by FIDIC. They can put that requirement. Okay, but officially registering with FIDIC does not have any legal binding on you. It does not have any legal power. But here they can say, okay, you are following our guidelines, you are our member. You are not following our guidelines, you are not our member. Clear? If you do this, we will give you a diploma, we will give you a certificate. Okay, if you don't do this, we will not give you. Okay, so this is their standing, this is their legal standing. Okay, so these are just giving you general guidelines, general terms and conditions. Okay, that can be applied according to local laws and regulations. Okay, so if any of the things or the local law says something else, Physics is something saying something else. You have to follow what? The local one. Okay, otherwise your contract is illegal. Okay. So what FIDIC is following is called as a common law regime. Okay, what FIDIC is following is called as a common law regime. There's another one, okay, which is called, I believe, the governing law, civil law. Yes. Okay, so common law, so governing law means the law of the country. Okay, and common law, I will come back to it. Okay, but common law is not the actual rules and regulations of the country. But what FIDIC is following is called as common law regime. Okay. So these conditions, these terms and conditions have been, because their member states are all over the world, including Europe and other countries. Okay. So some of the countries have adopted their terms and conditions and put them in their laws and rules. Okay. So it's the other way around. It has happened. Okay. But like I said, it's not totally legal. Okay, it's not totally official. So I was talking about common law and civil law. Okay, so common law is also known as case law. So in this case, basically you are relying on previous experience. Okay, the laws are being made according to previous experiences, previous cases. When this happened, they did this, it was successful. All the parties agreed, it was considered successful, let us adopt that. Okay, so they are not based upon legislatures or rules and regulations. They are based upon what happened before. Okay, and this is what FIDIC is following. Okay, they are looking after the projects, how they happened, what went wrong, how we can avoid it. If this happens again, what can be done and so on. Okay, so this is what we call as common law. Okay. Yeah, so in this case, they are saying there are no fixed, the core of the common law is they follow more on the cases. So they are not saying, the law says, for example, if you exceed the 100 km/h speed limit, you will be fined, right? Right or wrong? That's a civil law or common law? Civil, right? Because there is a limit which is already in the rules. Okay. But now an ambulance is passing. Okay, they are going at 140. They should be fine? No, right? It could be an emergency, right? Now you get the idea. Okay, so on case by case basis, the numbers can change. Okay, so yes, the concrete strength should be within plus minus 5% of the value which is given. But in this case, this happened. So now we have to reevaluate. Got my point? Okay. So, and this is what happens in civil law. Everything is clearly written. Okay. A happens, B should be done. Okay, and so on. Okay. Same as the example of the speed limit. Okay. So, and it is not obviously when I am following the law. This is the law. I will follow it. Okay. So the code itself is not making the decision, they are just implementing the decision. Okay, in case of common law, they are making the decision. They have to judge if this case is same as this one. Okay, if they are different, what should be done? So they are evaluating the situation, making the decision. In this case, it is much easier and straightforward. Okay. So an example of a common law system. Okay, for example, in UK, the judge may look at some previous cases. Okay, so in this case, for example, a contractor has claimed that there was additional 30 days work, and this is the cost which has happened, which he has done, and this has happened because of some unforeseen hard rock which they found on the field, on the site. Okay, it was not shown in the report, earlier reports. Okay, the contract does not include what to do in this case. Okay, so in one of the cases, they have mentioned the case over here. The judge decided that if a contractor encounters any condition which was which could not be predicted earlier than the client, so it will be considered as a breach of the contract from the client side. Okay, so in this case, they are looking at the past cases and they said that, yeah, it was client's responsibility to give the, to provide the information about the soil. He didn't do it, so it is considered a breach of contract from his side. Okay, and a civil law or civil law system, for example, Germany, if the same thing happened, the judge will go to the guidelines and he will see. So in this case, he will go to the past cases and see what happened. In this case, he will look into the guidelines. Okay, so this is the code which Germany is following for these types of contracts. Okay, and according to that, they may give extra payment and extra time to the contractor because the site conditions were not met. Okay, in both cases, you may reach the same result. You may reach the same answer, but the procedure is different. You get my point? Okay? Yeah, obviously, you can see the problem in both of them. The problem is the soil report at the start did not have the information. Because of that information, the contractor spent extra money and extra time. Now he's claiming for that. Okay, the thing went to the court. In the first case, the judge will make decision according to a previous case. In the second case, he will make decision according to what is written in the code. Yeah? Okay? Okay. Yes?
The case is the first in the contract.
Huh?
Common law. The case is the first time happened. How they deal with it?
Again, they will look for similar things. Not exactly this, but something similar. Okay? And then they will decide. Okay, but the point is, the main point was, between the common law and the civil law, you are in the civil law, you are exactly following it line by line, dot by dot. Okay, in the common law, yes, just a general structure. Within this structure, you can make your own decisions. Okay, so in the, for example, if this was a case for civil law, okay, nothing is there in the rule book, nothing is written. It has never happened before. Okay, so the judge may make some decision there, but then he will ask for an amendment in the code. Okay, in the common law, they can still like keep on moving. Okay, we have the general guideline. This happened according to the guidelines, we decided it's fine. Okay, so if something unforeseen happened, something happened for the first time, in civil law, they will try to make a change in the law later on. It will be very important, because for the remaining cases under the civil law, nobody can go and say, okay, this happened in there, I'll do it again. Okay, no, you still have to follow the guideline, the rules. Okay, now we are moving to a very important part of the course, okay, which is work breakdown structure. Okay, in simple terms, it means you are dividing the project into smaller tasks. Okay, you have the entire project and you will divide the project into smaller tasks. So this is like part of your term project as well, right? You have to do this for your term project. So the full definition of a work breakdown structure is a hierarchical decomposition. Okay, so you are breaking it down. Okay, but breaking it down into levels. Okay, so it's not like a list. It's not a list. Okay, it's a flow chart. It's a flow diagram. Okay, so you are breaking it down according to the flow of the project. Okay, so somebody made a complete list. So in the list, they mentioned concreting of slab and then excavation. Getting my point? Okay, so this is a list, it can happen. A work breakdown structure is that's why they are using the term structure. Okay, so it should be according to an order, it should be according to the how the things will be done in the project. Okay, why? Because this will later on help you with the budgeting and the duration of the project. If your work breakdown structure is not proper, then later on you will have problems with the budgeting and the timeline of the project. Okay, so everything depends upon that. So you are looking at the total scope and you are dividing into manageable tasks. Okay, so they should not be too big or too small. Okay, so like I get the example of concreting of slab. Okay, so if you say if I have 3 floors and I made a task concreting of 3 slabs together, because all of them are slabs. Okay, now I know I cannot manage them together, right? These 3 slabs will not be casted together, I cannot manage them together. Okay, so if you make them too big, then they are happening randomly. Something is happening here, something is happening on the after 2 months. There is no connection between them. Okay. Second problem, if you make them too small. So the task is concreting, and you are further dividing it into buying cement. Okay, buying aggregates, transporting aggregate to the site. But that is too small. So in the end, you may have like 50,000 activities in your project. Okay, like for each slab you will do it, right? For each column you will do it. So you can imagine how many activities you are going to have. Okay, so we need to keep it to a manageable size. Each activity should be a manageable size, and the whole structure should be also a manageable size. Okay, not too many activities and not too big activities. Okay, so every activity which has a definite objective and which is serving to the project objective and has a definite deliverable. Okay, deliverable means what? Huh? You can do it. Okay, anything else?
Take the work closer.
Sorry?
Like you finish the work and showing the work.
Showing the work. Okay, there's something, yes. Okay. So there is something which will be achieved in the end, that's a deliverable. Okay, something which will be achieved in the end, not just achieved, but that thing is related to the objective of the project. Okay, so the project is building construction. I say concreting for columns. Yes, columns are important for the building. Okay, so you see the direct connection there. Okay, but if you make the activity transporting labor to the site, what? Why? Okay, so make sure these activities have something to show in the end, some major part to be shown in the end, and that part is connected to the main objective of the project. Okay, so these are like couple of things you have to keep in mind. So it is used in project management to organize your work according to a structure, okay, and into manageable components. You can also use a work breakdown structure to articulate, means to show the scope of the work. Okay, articulate means to show. Okay, so scope of the work can be construction of a 2-story villa. 2 lines, right? 2 lines. Okay, articulate means now I will expand these 2 lines with more explanation, okay, and which the other party can understand very easily. So the work breakdown structure gives you like a picture, okay, like what has to be done for this 2-story villa. Got it? Okay, so this is what we mean by articulation. The actual scope could be just 1 or 2 lines or even half a line, but the work breakdown structure will make it more understandable for the people who are working on the project. Okay, so it will make the project manageable. I already told you about these. Okay, once you make it, you plan your timing according to it. Your cost estimates are depending upon it. The contractor who will execute the work, he will follow the same order, the same flow, the same structure, and he's obviously involved in these things as well, right? He has to follow these things. And you can use it for controlling as well. Okay, so work breakdown structure tells you at what date what activities should be finished. If you go to the site, what deliverables you can see on the site. Okay. And yeah, what else? Yeah. So in a work breakdown structure, every item is divided into work streams. Okay, so every item is like a tree. Okay, it's like a tree. So you have the main tree, and then there are branches, right? And from each branch there are further branches and leaves and flowers and so on. Okay, so this whole thing is like a stream. Okay, a network which is interconnected with each other. Okay, so every task in the work breakdown structure has a flow, and it shows you to reach this level what you must complete. Okay, so this is why it's called a stream, because it's showing the flow of the project. Okay. So it will look like a pyramid structure. Okay, so at the top you will have the least activities, and as you go down the activities will further increase and you divide them down. Okay, so there are some rules which you have to follow when you are making this work breakdown structure. First of all, the first rule is 100% rule. That means, so 100% rule is applied in like 3 ways. Okay, the first thing is whatever is in the project should be part of your work breakdown structure, WBS. Okay, we call it WBS. So the WBS should cover each and every part of the project. There should not be anything which is out of the WBS. So this is the first way of applying the 100% rule. Okay. Second is in terms of resources. The work breakdown structure should show 100% of the resources, or should cover 100% of the resources. Okay. So you cannot say the cost I'm asking you is, okay, the work breakdown structure, I'm asking you for 10,000 BD and I'm showing 8,000 BD in my work breakdown structure. Okay? No, the complete cost should be associated with the items in the work breakdown structure. Hassan, what did I just say?
About the planned purpose.
Very good. If you pay attention, you will know. Okay. The third way of applying the 100% rule is the allotment of the work. Okay, so the resources, the work, and the allotment of the work. Okay, allotment meaning that for work allotment for deliverables. Okay, so all the deliverables must be part of the work break, the results basically, the results. Okay, so the first way of applying 100% rule is the scope. The complete scope should be part of the WBS. The second way of applying is resources. The complete resources should be part of WBS. The third way of applying is in terms of results, deliverables. All the deliverables must be part of the WBS. Got it? Clear? So once the WBS is ready, you have to check for these 3 things. Okay? Anything is out of it, either your WBS is incomplete or you have a problem with your project scope. Okay? All elements are mutually exclusive. Okay? So there is no overlap or duplication. Okay? So all elements are independent basically. All elements are independent. In the WBS, all elements are independent. Okay? So completion of one element, okay, yes, it will result into the completion of the other element, but we are not saying that if this is complete, then this one is automatically complete. This is what they mean. Okay, so if I say concreting for foundation or excavation, if I say excavation, okay, and somebody comes and says if excavation is done that means the site is already prepared. No, site preparation is another activity. Okay, so there should not be any ambiguity in the work breakdown structure between two activities. Nobody is made to assume anything. Okay, you cannot come and say that this activity is not listed here and your answer is, oh, I listed this one, this means this one is already done. There's no such thing like this. Got it? Clear? Okay. Mutually exclusive means something else as well. In statistics, it means that they are independent. Construction work is not independent. But what they are saying is there are no assumptions from one activity to the other activity. Completion of one activity cannot be assumed as completion of the other activity. This is what they mean. Okay. It focuses on the outcomes, not the actions. I already gave you the example of the concreting. Okay, the outcome is slab. So you should focus on the slab. To make this slab, you will do actions, right? You will mix concrete, you will buy cement, you will bring labor on the site, you will bring the plant on the site. These are all actions which are done for the slab. You focus on the deliverables. Okay, you keep on mentioning the word deliverable. Okay, so you focus on the deliverable, not the action itself. Okay. Because a deliverable can be related to the milestone then. Okay, what is a milestone? Anyone? What's a milestone?
It's a specific stage done from the entire project.
Yes. Okay, so that when you focus on the deliverables, then you can make your project milestones, important dates in the project, important stages in the project. Okay, so that can only happen if you are focusing on the outcome, you are focusing on the result, not the action itself. Okay, yes. So WBS is a planning tool. Okay, so this is what you are reading, right? The first thing which you see. Okay, but you start reading from the top.
Yes.
Okay, so WBS will act as a planning tool. I already mentioned it. Okay, and then you have the 880 rule. Okay, which says that any activity in the WBS, any part, any smallest part of the WBS, okay, which is required to complete a deliverable, should not take less than 8 hours, okay, or more than 80 hours over a 10-day period. So I have given you the minimum and the maximum. Okay, 8 is the minimum, 80 is the maximum. Okay, it's a rule, general rule. Okay, there can be exceptions. Okay, some activities could be smaller but very important, and they can give very important results. They have a specific deliverable. I will obviously put them. Okay, but they are giving a general rule. Okay, so just to avoid having packages or work packages, deliverables which are very small, very minor, okay, so that can result in very big WBS. Okay, you can decrease it. Why should we have a big tree like this? Okay, and if it is more than 80 hours, okay, again there can be exceptions, but more than 80 hours means that you may have combined 2-3 items in one. Okay, so then it will affect your planning, and it will also be difficult to manage. Okay, so if you said, somebody said, instead of slab or column, they say construction of the structure, what do you call, superstructure of the building. So superstructure includes 2 slabs and columns to the second floor. All these into one. Okay, so then it will be difficult to manage, and we have mentioned here in the previous slide. You use the WBS structure for controlling as well, for execution as well. So if you are putting things like this, big things into one deliverable, it will be difficult for you to control, because you will only know if the task has been achieved or not at the end, right? So let's say there's a problem in the column, there's a problem in the beam, there's a problem in the slab. When you will know, when you will check? At the end. Okay. By that time, everything is already done. Okay. So if I put columns at one activity, if there's a problem in the column, I'll know it before proceeding to the next step, right? Got my point? So this is why we have the 880 rule. Okay, so we already said a project milestone is an important stage in the project. So it is used to measure the progress of work. Okay, and obviously we have to keep the project objective in our mind. And a milestone basically means completion of a significant task. Okay, completion of a specific or a big task of the project. Okay, so every task in WBS may not be a milestone. Keep it in mind. Okay, milestone can be something bigger. Okay, so yes, you can have WBS which has construction of columns, construction of beams, construction of slab. But that doesn't mean after every task I will put a milestone. You can say, okay, construction of superstructure, that can be a milestone. And that milestone has 4 activities. Fine. Clear? Okay, so there's a difference between the completion of task and the milestone. Okay, what else? So they have given some examples: completion of a structural part, completion of architectural design, okay, completion of casting of all foundations, okay. It can be a specific item as well, okay, something which you are buying, okay. So there are projects in which they ask for something which will come from some other country, okay. So there are, for example, there are projects done in Bahrain where the machinery is not involved, like the machinery is the machine involved is not available, okay. So they have to bring it from somewhere else, okay. Can you give me a guess how much time it takes to do something like this? 1 month?
3 months.
After I wake up, huh? 3 months? Yes.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yes. How much? Whatever it is. It is not my company. How can I say? Huh? Yes. How much?
Depends on the scale of the item.
You want, I said it's a construction machinery.
6 months.
6 months? Yeah. Close enough. Okay. So if some items takes that much time, you have to put it as a milestone, right? Because a lot of things are now waiting on it. Okay? Lot of things are waiting on it now. Clear? Okay? So it can be something like that. It's not like, okay, I will buy to the market and I will go to the market and buy cement. It will take like 2 hours. Okay? And I'm putting that as a milestone. No. So these type of things can be put as a milestone, but that thing should be something big. Okay? Something major. Okay. If you are doing any research and development project, can be something like making a prototype, okay, securing the funding and so on. They don't give money so easily, by the way. Okay. So WBS has these advantages because you have to do a lot of work to make the WBS. There are a lot of rules to be followed, right? You have to think about the entire project before even you start doing anything. Before even you start planning your project, right? So why should we do all these things, okay? So with WBS, you have more efficiency later on, obviously. Somebody may say, I'm spending like 10 hours before I even started the project. So where is the efficiency? Efficiency comes later on, okay? Because you have the plan now, okay? So rest of the steps will be quicker, okay? It will take less time. It gives you better control on the project. Okay, you have now monitoring tools with you. You know the duration of each item, and you can go within the item and you can see how much resources must have been consumed. Okay, so it gives you better control on your project. Okay, scope definition. Maybe when you said 2-story villa, you missed a lot of things. They were not in your mind. When you start preparing this type of a structure, then you remember things. Okay, so scope is better defined. They use the word articulated. okay, which is a very important word. Later on, it will help you with project planning, scheduling, resource allocation. Very important for companies, very important for the project. Your company has 2 excavators. Okay? So what you will do, you will only take 2 projects at a time, right? 2 projects at a time. Third project comes, I will say no, I will not take it. I'm asking the businessman. You guys will do one job, right? Huh? No, you can do business, no problem. Yes,
No, I can't take it.
you will take it, right?
But I manage the time.
I manage the time, okay? So once you have the work breakdown structure, then you can manage your own resources, okay? Because I can see I need the excavator at this time here, okay? So I will make sure that in the other project I manage it properly, okay? And for the, what is it? Yeah, for bringing the materials, for bringing the resources on the site as well. Okay, so I know which resource is required when. Okay, so if you bring something too early, you will have problems on the site. Okay, you need aggregates. So will you bring all the aggregates you want on the first day on the site? No. Okay, you have to keep them somewhere and safe and so on. Okay, so we don't do that. So resource allocation means you plan what do you need when, and exactly at that time you bring it to the site. The ideal situation. Okay. It will help you with cost estimation and budgeting. This we will cover in the class. Even the resource allocation part we will cover. It will enhance communication because now you have a picture, a graph, which is easier to understand for everybody. Okay, so instead of writing it, okay, and then once there, then you are more responsible for it. Accountability means responsible. Okay. It can help you with risk management because you can manage the resources better. You know what can go wrong, where it will go wrong, and so on and so forth. And later on, you will see how risk is tied to WBS. We will cover it in the end. Okay. It will enhance the satisfaction of the stakeholders because they have full information in front of them. When something is complete, they can go and track it. Okay, so there is less of a conflict here. Okay, we have 2 types of WBS. We have phase-based and we have deliverable-based. Okay, both of them are basically deliverable-based. Okay, but in the first case, they are saying that each phase of the project is also a deliverable. Okay, so for example, design, completion of design. Okay, they are saying it's also a deliverable. You know, it's a phase, right? Okay. So in the first case, they are saying each phase of the project is a deliverable. So when this thing happens, you consider it as part of the project. Okay, so we keep on saying deliverable, deliverable. What does it mean officially? Okay, so this is according to PMI, Project Management Institute. If you have your senior colleagues in your circle, they keep on taking certifications, right? This certification, and most of them are management based, and they are taking it from here, PMI. Okay, the PMP, and there's another one for new engineers, something like that. CAPM, yes. So they are from there. Okay, so it's like a very important organization. So any unique and verifiable product, okay, product or result or skill, okay, that is required to complete the either the whole project or a part of the project. Okay, the important thing is it should be unique and it should be verifiable. I can see it, I can test it, okay, and it should be unique. Okay, so if there are 12 columns, all these 12 columns can be one. I don't have to say column 1, column 2, column 3 because all the columns are not unique. What my point? Okay, and they must be completed to complete the part of the project or the entire project. Okay, so every entry in the WBS has a deliverable, like I said earlier. Then we have the term which is called as a work package. So work package is the lowest part of the WBS. A work package is the lowest part of the WBS. preparing the structure, you keep on breaking it down, down, down until you reach the last level, which is the work package. I know you came late. Okay, I should be the one doing it. Okay, then we have a WBS dictionary which tells every item in details. Okay, definitions, what does each thing means, and dictionary. Okay, you know the meaning of dictionary. Okay, any questions?